This lesson is to help us identify if tables, maps, graphs, or sets represent functions. Remember that when we have a function, and I have this cool picture of one, if I take an input, or otherwise an x, it goes in the function. What comes out the function is the output, or in this case, y. It's defined as a function is a relationship between the inputs and outputs such that for every input there is exactly one output. Let's look at a couple of examples. Here's the first example. I have several different representations of the same data. I have a map, I have a table, a graph, and a set. So I want to put this down here. There we go. Okay, so let's try it. So if we take the input of 2, then we should get out a 3. And that agrees with all the situations here. Notice the map, it follows the line. The table's right across. The graph is the point 2 and 3. And the set is 2 and 3. It does something similar. I won't spell it out quite as much on the next. But if we put in a 3, we'll get out a -1. If we put in a 4, we get out a 6. And if we put in a 5, we get out a 2, which is in line with all of the representations here. So far, that's true. Every one input has exactly one output. Now let's look at where it might not work too well. Okay, so here's another set of examples. This one's shoe size versus height in feet. We have the map, the table, and the graph. Let's see what happens. So if I put the 10.5 in, then I get 5.9. I get one value out. That's to be expected. Same thing with the 10 here. If I put in 110, I get out 6 feet. But notice what happens when I put in the 9. I get two values. I get 5.8 and 5.6. Well, that goes against the rule for a function. So this tells us that this is not a function of x. And as we look closer at these, let's make this one a little bit larger. As we look closer at these situations, we'll notice that right here, there's an indication that there are two values coming off of 9. So on a map, we look for what we call branches coming off of the number. For a table, we can look for where numbers repeat. We don't care if they repeat on the y side. We do care if they repeat on the x side, or the input. Where this happens, this is not a function of x. On a graph, we're looking for what we call a vertical pencil test. So if I make a vertical pencil shape, something goes straight up and down like this, and I move it across, if at any given point there are 2 points that hit at the same time, like right here, then that is not a function of x. So this part here says that this is not a function. And then finally, as we look at the set, we notice the x values here, that there's a 9 here, and there's also a 9 here. This is in the x position. It repeats. Therefore, it is not a function. That should be enough to get you started for the assignment. Do the assignment to help you out and figure it out farther. If you have any questions, please ask your teacher.